My dad was in the hospital. She said she couldn't visit because she had tickets to a Beyonce concert. When she texted, "Call me if he dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night," I was sitting in a plastic chair outside the ICU, holding my mother's hand. By the time the encore finished in another city, the locks on our house didn't work for her anymore. People think the breaking point in a marriage is loud. Slamming doors, screaming, plates shattering. Mine was a tiny rectangle of text on a cracked phone screen, blue bubble over gray floor, next to a vending machine that stole my dollar. I'll back up. I'm Sam, 39. I work in logistics for a regional grocery chain, boring on paper, satisfying in practice. I make sure trucks show up when they're supposed to, food stays cold, shelves stay stocked. My days are spreadsheets and phone calls and the quiet satisfaction of things working the way they're supposed to. I come from a family of people like that. My dad, Pete, was a mechanic his whole life. Big hands, bad knees, a laugh you could hear over an air compressor. My mom stayed home with us until we were old enough, then worked checkout at the same grocery chain I ended up with, because that's where the hours lined up with school. We're not flashy. We're the people who show up early, bring casseroles, know how to jump your car and loosen a rusted bolt. Chloe was not that. We met at a friend's birthday thing at a rooftop bar in Dallas. I was there because my buddy Mike threatened to stop inviting me to anything if I skipped one more night out. He said, "You're 36, not 60. Come have a drink and talk to something other than inventory reports." Chloe walked in like she knew the photographer was on her. Blonde blowout, tight dress, heels that made my ankles hurt just looking at them. She had one of those laughs that makes people look over, half annoyed, half intrigued. We got introduced because she worked in marketing for a national beauty brand we carried in our stores. She knew my company name. That mattered more than it probably should have in the moment. "You're the one who gets my displays set up on time," she said, smiling over her cocktail. "We love you people." "We love your purchase orders," I said. She laughed like I'd said something funnier than it was. "What do you do?" I asked. "Brand partnerships," she said. "Influencers, events, all the fabulous stuff." "That sounds loud," I said. "It can be," she said, tilting her head. "You must be more of a quiet guy." "I'm good with boring," I said. "Boring means trucks show up and nobody's yelling." She took a sip of her drink. "You strike me as responsible," she said. "That's rare these days." She said responsible like it was unusual, maybe even attractive. Back then, it felt like a compliment. Later, I realized it was also an assignment. We dated. She liked that I always paid on time, that I never forgot my wallet, that I had a reliable car and my own house. She came to Sunday dinners at my parents' place and charmed my mom, laughed at my dad's old stories like they were new. "He's adorable," she'd say in the car after. "Your dad, like a sitcom dad, does he always wear those flannels?" "Pretty much," I'd say. "You should see the collection." We got married 2 years in. Small church, big dance floor. She picked most of the details, flowers, colors, the song for our first dance. I picked the venue because it had a parking lot big enough for my entire extended family. In our vows, I promised to put family first. She promised to be my partner in everything. I believed we meant the same thing by those words. We didn't. The cracks didn't show up all at once. They came in small complaints like hairline fractures in drywall. Early on, it was little digs about my family. "Does your mom have to call every day?" she'd ask, scrolling through Instagram on the couch. "It's like you're still in high school." "She gets bored," I'd say. "She's retired now, I'm her entertainment." "Maybe she should get a hobby that isn't micromanaging our lives," Chloe would mutter. Or at holidays. "Do we have to go there for Thanksgiving again?" she'd groan, looking at my mom's group text about who was making what. "My friends go to Friendsgiving in cute outfits, and you're making me wear elastic pants to eat green bean mush." It's my family, I'd say. And my dad's turkey is better than any restaurant. You said you liked it last year. I like the food, she'd say. I don't like when your Aunt Carol corners me and asks when we're having kids like it's her business. That's fair, I'd say. She's nosy. I tell her to knock it off too. Chloe rolled her eyes. She listens to you, she'd say. I'm just the incubator in her mind. We'd talk it through. I'd validate where she had a point, set boundaries where she was being harsh. It wasn't all her. My family can be intense, loud, a little too involved. But under the reasonable complaints, there was always this hum. Your people are too much. Your life before me is too much. I am not enough of a center for you. I didn't notice how loud that hum got until my dad's stroke. It was a Tuesday morning, January, cold enough that you could see your breath when you took the trash out. I was at work mid-meeting when my phone buzzed 3 times in a row. Mom. I silenced it, then saw the second call come through immediately after she hung up. I need to take this, I told my boss, standing up without waiting for a response. Mom, I said, already moving toward the hallway. He's on the floor, she said, voice high and thin. Sam, your father's on the floor. He's not talking right. I called 911, but they're not here yet. I don't know what to do. Every training video about strokes I'd ever seen at work flashed through my head. Slurred speech, one side drooping, confusion. I'm on my way, I said. Stay on with 911, unlock the door. I'll meet you at the hospital. I grabbed my jacket, told my boss, family emergency, I have to go, and was in my truck in less than a minute. The drive to my parents' place felt both instant and endless. Sirens passed me going the other way. My hands shook just enough to fumble the radio knob. When I got there, the ambulance was already in the driveway. 2 EMTs were wheeling my dad out on a gurney. He looked wrong. One side of his face slack, eyes unfocused, arm limp. Pete, hey, I said, moving alongside. It's me, it's Sam. His gaze slid toward me, like his eyes were trying to move slower than the rest of him. "As my boy," he slurred. "Yeah," I said, forcing my voice steady. "I got you." Mom was on the porch, robe half-tied, hands clenched in front of her mouth. "I'll meet you at the hospital," I said to the EMT. To Mom, "Grab your purse, your phone charger. I'll drive you." The rest of that morning lives in flashes. Signing forms in triage, nurses moving fast, a doctor with tired eyes saying, "He's had a significant stroke. We're moving him to ICU. We'll know more after imaging." At some point I texted my boss, "Dad had a stroke. At hospital, out for the rest of the week, maybe longer." She replied, "Take what you need, keep us posted." At some point I texted Chloe, "Dad had a stroke. At Baylor in ICU. I'm with Mom, not sure how bad yet." The 3 dots popped up, then paused, then appeared again. "OMG, worried face, that's awful. Do you want me to come? It's just, I have meetings stacked and that happy hour tonight with the team. I'd have to cancel a lot." I stared at the screen. It was 11:07 a.m. My dad was somewhere between this world and whatever comes after. My mom was in a plastic chair next to me, staring at the floor. I typed, "Up to you. We're in for a long haul here." She replied, "Hospitals freak me out. I'll come later after work, okay? Text me if anything changes." I put the phone face down. The day blurred, tests, doctors, repeated explanations. "The clot is here. We're monitoring swelling. The first 24 hours are critical." Chloe texted again around 3. "How's he doing?" "About the same," I wrote, "still in ICU. Can't move his right side. They say he's lucky we got him here fast." "That's good," she wrote. "Not that he can't move, but that he's, you know what I mean." "Do you know how long you're going to stay?" "As long as it takes," I wrote. My stomach growled at some point. I realized I hadn't eaten since breakfast. Mom hadn't either. "I'm going to get us something from the cafeteria," I said. "You want a sandwich, soup?" She shook her head. I'm not hungry, she said, even as her hand pressed unconsciously to her stomach. I'm bringing you something anyway, I said. On my way down to the cafeteria, I saw my reflection in the elevator mirror. Pale, eyes red, shoulders slightly hunched under my jacket. My phone buzzed again. Chloe. Are you coming home tonight? I have that thing tomorrow morning, and I don't want to take an Uber if I don't have to. I stared at the message, felt something inside me harden just a little. I don't know, I wrote. Depends what the doctors say, probably staying late at least. She replied, okay, but I get that it's serious, I do, but I also need you. You've been gone all day. I had to eat lunch alone. I stood there in the fluorescent-lit hallway, holding cafeteria menus, and realized my wife was framing my father's stroke as an inconvenience to her social calendar. I typed then deleted 3 different versions of Are you kidding me? Finally, I settled on, we'll talk later. They're calling us back in now. The next week became my whole world. Work told me to take family leave, no questions asked. My brother flew in from Houston. My sister drove up from Waco. We built a rotation, someone always with dad, someone with mom, someone running point on coffee and food. Chloe showed up exactly twice. The first time was Thursday, 2 days in. She came straight from work in a tight dress and heels. The smell of her perfume hit the antiseptic hallway like it didn't belong there. She stood at the foot of my dad's bed, arms folded awkwardly. Hi, Mr. Martinez, she said, voice too bright. You're scaring everyone. You need to get better so you can make more of those ribs. He couldn't respond much. The right side of his mouth barely moved. His left hand twitched toward hers. She looked uncomfortable. Her eyes kept flicking to the machines. I hate this, she whispered to me in the hall later. The beeping, the smell, I feel like I'm going to pass out. Then go home, I said, too tired to sugarcoat it. Nobody needs you fainting in ICU. Her eyes flashed. Wow, she said. Okay, I was trying to be supportive. Supportive would have been coming when Mom was still in shock, I said, or bringing her food, or offering to do a grocery run, standing at the end of the bed for 10 minutes and then telling me you're traumatized, isn't it? She stiffened. You're being mean, she said. I took time out of my day to be here. So did my brother who lives 4 hours away, I said, and my sister who has 2 kids and a job. No one's handing out medals. She squared her shoulders. I'm sorry I'm not as perfect as your sainted family, she snapped. Maybe if they hadn't eaten so much fried food their whole lives, they wouldn't be in this mess. I stared at her. She seemed to realize what she'd just said. Color drained from her face. I didn't mean, she started. Yeah, I said quietly, you did. That was leak number 2. She left soon after, muttering something about meetings the next day. I went back to my plastic chair and my mother's shaking shoulders. The second visit was shorter. 3 days later, Sunday, late afternoon, she breezed in with a coffee she handed me like a peace offering. I figured you needed the caffeine, she said. Thanks, I said. Mom's in the chapel with my aunt. Dad's stable, but they're talking surgery. Surgery, she repeated. They're worried about swelling, I said. There's a procedure they can do to relieve pressure, not without risks. She made a face. She said, why can't anything ever be simple? Because it's the brain, I said, kind of a key component. She sighed. I know, she said. I'm just tired. I feel like you've been gone for a week. I have, I said, mostly. When are you coming home? She asked. I've been home, I said. To shower, to change, to sleep in 2-hour bursts. I just don't stick around for brunch. She crossed her arms. You know what I mean, she said. I go to bed alone, I wake up alone, I deal with the house alone. It's like I'm not even married right now. My dad is in a hospital bed learning how to swallow again, I said. I'm sorry I haven't been available to split the laundry. That's not what I'm saying and you know it, she said. I'm saying I miss my husband. This isn't sustainable. It's not supposed to be, I said. It's a crisis. She shook her head. I get that you're sad, she said. Really, I do. But you can't just disappear into your family and expect me to put my life on pause indefinitely. I took family leave, I said. The company did it without blinking. My wife is the only one complaining. I'm not complaining, she said. I'm expressing my needs. That's what my therapist says I should do. I feel neglected, Sam. I feel like I'm not a priority. My father's brain is bleeding, I said slowly. He is the priority. For now, for however long this takes, you're an adult. You can feed yourself and go to yoga without me holding your hand. Her jaw dropped. Wow, she said, you really resent me right now. I really resent being put in a position where I have to choose between being a son and being a husband at a time like this, I said. Because if that's the choice, it's not going to go your way. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes were shiny. I need to go, she said softly. I can't be here. This energy is bad. She left. I watched her walk down the hall, heels clicking. That was the last time she came to the hospital. The week after that brought new information and new decisions. Dad's scans showed some improvement but also areas of concern. The neurosurgeon, a calm woman with kind eyes and a very direct manner, sat us down in a windowless conference room and laid it out. We recommend a surgical procedure to relieve pressure, she said. It's not without risk, but without it, his chances of meaningful recovery are low. Mom looked like someone had drained all color from her. What would you do if it was your father? She asked. The doctor paused. I would do the surgery, she said, but it's your decision. We'll support whatever you choose. We looked at each other, Mom, me, my brother, my sister, and knew Dad would want us to fight. Do it, I said. We'll be here. They scheduled it for Saturday morning. Friday night, I went home to shower and grab clean clothes. The house felt strange, like I'd broken into my own life. The sink had dishes in it. The throw pillows were slightly askew. A half-empty wineglass sat on the coffee table next to an open laptop. Beyoncé's face mid-dance move on the screen. Chloe was in the bedroom, zipping up a small suitcase. Hey, I said, leaning in the doorway. She jumped. Jesus, she said, hand to her chest. You scared me. Didn't know I needed to text before coming into my own house, I said. What's with the suitcase? She looked at it, then at me. I've been meaning to talk to you about that, she said. That, I repeated, the suitcase. She took a breath. Remember those Beyoncé tickets I bought months ago, she asked. The ones for the show in Atlanta. Vaguely. She'd spent 3 days talking about it when they went on sale, hitting refresh on her laptop like a trader after an IPO. I remembered her yelling, I got them, like she'd won the lottery. Yeah, I said slowly. The concert's tomorrow night, she said. I fly out in the morning. Tomorrow morning, I repeated. The day of Dad's surgery. She winced. I know, she said. The timing sucks, but the tickets are non-refundable. We've had this plan for months, and it's not like I'm in the operating room. I'd just be sitting there, being anxious. I stared at her. Are you serious right now? I asked. Yes, she said. I need this, Sam. I've been under so much stress with your dad and work and everything. This is my one thing. My girls and I call it our joy trip. Your joy trip, I said, while my father's skull is literally open. Don't say it like that, she said, grimacing. That's graphic. It's reality, I said. You're really going to get on a plane and go to a concert while we're waiting to see if he wakes up the same man. She crossed her arms. What do you expect me to do? She asked. Sit in a waiting room for 12 hours. I did that last week. It was awful. I can't live at the hospital, Sam. I'll go crazy. I expect you to be with your husband while his father is on the table, I said. I expect you to hold my mom's hand when they wheel him away. I expect you to show up the way I show up for your stuff. You're making me sound selfish, she said. You're making it easy, I said. She flinched. This is manipulative, she said. You're trying to guilt me into staying when you know how much I've been looking forward to this. It's Beyoncé, Sam. She's not exactly doing shows every weekend. Beyoncé will tour again, I said. My father will not have brain surgery again. At least I hope not. How can you say that? She asked. You don't know what will happen. What if he pulls through and lives another 10 years? Then I missed the show for nothing. I actually laughed, a short humorless sound. You think if he lives, this will be for nothing? I asked. You think being there for a critical moment in your family's life is a waste unless someone dies to justify it? She opened her mouth, then closed it. This is my chance, she said finally, to have something that's just mine. Everything has been about your family lately. Your dad, your mom, your siblings. I need one night that's not about them. One night that's about you, I said, at my father's expense. That's not what I said, she said. You're twisting it. I stared at her suitcase, at the carefully folded clothes, the sequin top she'd bought just for the concert, at the travel-sized toiletries lined up on the dresser. Look, she said, voice softening. I'll be gone less than 36 hours. I fly out at 10, the show's at 8, I fly back Sunday morning. You'll be at the hospital the whole time. You won't even notice I'm gone. That's the problem, I said quietly. You think I shouldn't. She moved closer, put a hand on my arm. Please, she said, don't make me choose between you and this. I'll resent you if I miss it. I'm being honest. Honesty without responsibility is just confession, I said. You're telling me you'll resent me for asking you to show up. I hear you. I also hear what kind of wife you're choosing to be. She pulled her hand back like my skin had shocked her. You're really going to throw our marriage away over a concert, she said. I'm not throwing anything, I said. I'm just finally looking at where you set your priorities. She grabbed her suitcase handle. I'm going, she said. I hope you can find some grace in your heart. Your dad would want you to be happy for me. Please don't drag my father into your justifications, I said. He's unconscious. He can't object to being used as a prop. You're being cruel, she said. No, I said. I'm done making your comfort the main character. Go, enjoy your joy trip. She hesitated in the doorway. I'll text you, she said. Let me know how it goes. I will, I said, one way or another. She left early the next morning. I heard the front door close while it was still dark. No goodbye. At 6, I was back at the hospital, bleary-eyed, coffee in hand. They took Dad into pre-op around 8. At 9, a nurse came to get us. You can see him for a few minutes before we go, she said. I held Mom's arm as we walked back. Dad looked small in the hospital gown, IV lines running from his arms, a blue cap on his head. Hey, Pop, I said, forcing cheer into my voice. You ready to flirt with the nurses in surgery? He smiled lopsidedly. A ways, he slurred. Mom leaned in, kissed his forehead, whispered something in Spanish I didn't catch. As they wheeled him away, his eyes found mine. Take care of her, he said, jerking his chin toward Mom. I will, I said. You take care of you. We watched the doors swing shut. That sound hit me harder than I expected. We settled into the waiting room. My brother paced. My sister scrolled aimlessly. Mom clutched a rosary, lips moving silently. My phone buzzed, Chloe. Boarding now airplane. I know you're mad, but I love you. Call me if he dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night. I can't do this doom energy all the time. I read it twice, 3 times, the words didn't change. Call me if he dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night. Something very simple clicked. I wasn't angry. Anger is hot and wild. What moved through me was cold, precise. A switch, not a flare. I put the phone down, stared at the floor for a minute, then I stood up. Bathroom, I told my brother. Be right back. Instead of the bathroom, I went downstairs to the parking garage. and sat in my truck with the engine off. Then I called a locksmith. 24-hour locksmith, this is Todd, a voice said. Hey Todd, this is Sam Martinez, I said. You replaced a deadbolt for us last year on Chestnut Drive. Yeah, I remember, he said. Front door that was sticking, how's it holding up? Fine, I said. I need something else. Today, new locks, house on Chestnut. Can you meet me there this afternoon? He whistled softly. Rough day, he asked. Something like that, I said. I can be there at 3, he said. Work for you. Perfect, I said. I'll text you if it changes. I hung up, then I called my lawyer. Not my divorce lawyer, not yet. Just the attorney who'd handled my will and some paperwork when I bought the house. His name is Alan, mid-50s, steady voice. Alan, it's Sam Martinez, I said when he picked up. I've got a question that might become a situation. What's going on? He asked. I'm pretty sure my marriage is over, I said. My dad is in surgery right now. My wife is on a plane to a concert in Atlanta. She just texted me, call me if he dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night. There was a pause on the line. I'm sorry, Sam, he said, about your father and about your wife's words. Yeah, I said. So my questions are, 1, the house is in my name only. Can I legally change the locks while she's gone? 2, how fast can I file for divorce and have her served when she comes back? He asked a few clarifying questions. Yes, I'd bought the house before we married. No, her name was not on the deed. Yes, we'd commingled money in other ways, but the mortgage and title were mine. Legally speaking, you can change the locks, he said. You're the owner. But morally and practically, she is your spouse and she has been living there. You'll need to provide her access to her belongings and arrange a time for her to collect them. I recommend you don't destroy anything or lock her out of necessities. That can get messy in court. I'm not trying to burn her stuff, I said, just my patience. As for filing, he continued, we can draft the petition this week and file as soon as you're ready. Serving her when she lands is dramatic but legal as long as she's in state and we follow process. She lands Sunday morning at Love Field, I said. Flight 612 from Atlanta, due in at 9:45 a.m. I know because I booked it. He exhaled through his nose. You've thought this through, he said. I've been thinking for a year, I said. I just finally have enough data. I'll have my assistant email you a questionnaire, he said. Fill it out when you can. Focus on your father today. We'll handle the rest. Thanks, Alan, I said. I sat in the truck for another minute after we hung up, feeling the shape of what I'd just set in motion. I didn't feel guilty. That surprised me a little. I felt aligned, like I'd finally stopped arguing with gravity. I went back to the waiting room, sat with my family, held my mother's hand. Time did that weird waiting room thing, stretching and snapping back. 2 hours, 4, 6. Periodic updates from nurses. He's still in surgery. No complications so far. Around 2, Mom dozed lightly in her chair. My brother went downstairs to smoke. My sister went to get more coffee. My phone buzzed periodically with pictures from Chloe. Airport selfies. A wing shot out the plane window. A video from the plane. Girls trip, let's go, her friend shrieking in the background. I didn't respond. At 3, I slipped out again, told my brother I was grabbing something from home. The drive felt oddly normal. Sunny day, clear roads, people going about their Saturdays, oblivious. My brain ran 2 stories at once, one about a man on a table under bright lights, surgeons peering into his skull, another about a woman dancing in an arena full of lights of a different kind. Todd's truck was in my driveway when I pulled up. Rough day, huh? He said when I got out. You have no idea, I said. Front and back door. I'll keep the garage code the same for now. He worked quickly, popped out the old cylinders, installed new ones, handed me fresh keys. You want the old ones? He asked. No, I said, trash them. I went inside. The quiet wrapped around me different than it ever had before. This wasn't home anymore. It was an asset. I grabbed a duffel and started packing some of Chloe's essentials into it. Not everything, just enough to get her through a week. Work clothes, underwear, toiletries, her favorite hoodie. I put it by the front door. I left her closet mostly intact. I am many things. Petty destroyer of wardrobes is not one of them. On the kitchen counter, I left an envelope with a simple note inside. Your key no longer works. For your safety, I changed the locks while you were out of town. Your things are safe. We'll arrange a time for you to collect them. You'll be contacted by a process server tomorrow. Please accept the papers. From this point on, logistics only. Sam. I took pictures of everything, because years in logistics teach you to document. Then I locked the new deadbolt, got back in my truck and drove to the hospital. At some point during the evening, Beyoncé took the stage. At some point, my wife screamed lyrics about love and independence into the air of an arena in Atlanta. At some point, the neurosurgeon came into the waiting room, her eyes tired but not grim. He made it through the surgery, she said. There were some complications, but we were able to relieve the pressure. The next 48 hours will tell us a lot. Mom sagged in relief. Tears, prayers, hugs. My brother punched my shoulder lightly. My sister sobbed into my side. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Chloe. We're in OURSEATS. OMG, this is insane. I turned my phone off. Dad stayed in ICU 2 more days, then stepped down to a regular room. He couldn't move his right side. His speech was slurred, but his eyes were clear. When I told him the surgery went well, he squeezed my hand with his good one. Damn stubborn, he managed. Runs in the family, I said. I didn't mention Chloe. Sunday morning, while I helped Dad with some ice chips, a text came from Alan's assistant. Process server confirmed service window 9:45:10:30 at baggage claim. We'll let you know when it's done. I pictured her walking off the plane, hair messy from the flight, tired from screaming and dancing, expecting an Uber or a husband. Instead, a stranger would step forward and ask, "Are you Chloe Martinez?" and hand her a manila envelope. I didn't savor it, but I didn't regret it either. At 10:12, another text. She has been served. I showed the messages to no one. Some things are just between you and the ledger. My phone started buzzing around 11. Her name over and over, call after call. I let them go to voicemail. Then came the texts. What the actual hell, Sam? You changed the locks. You served me at the airport. Are you insane? I silenced the notifications and went back to helping Mom pick out clothes for Dad that would fit over his IV lines. By evening, the tone had shifted. Can we please talk before you do anything stupid? I get that you were mad, but this is extreme. You can't just throw away our marriage over one text. I read that one twice. Call me if he dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night. One text. I put my phone on airplane mode and sat with my father until he fell asleep. The next day, everything converged. Dad had a minor setback, blood pressure spikes, some confusion. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to keep everyone on edge. I took Mom home to shower and rest. When we pulled into her driveway, Chloe's car was in front of my house across the street. She was sitting on the porch, duffel at her feet, hair in a messy bun, face blotchy. Great, Mom whispered, drama. I'll handle it, I said. Go inside, I'll be over in a bit. Mom squeezed my arm and shuffled toward her front door. I walked across the street. Chloe stood as I approached. What is wrong with you? She demanded. You humiliated me. Good to see you made it back alive, I said. How was the show? Her mouth opened and shut. Seriously, she said, you're making jokes. Honest question, I said. You risked our marriage for that ticket. I hope it at least lived up to the price. Her eyes filled again. I texted you last night, she said. I was freaking out, you didn't answer. You told me not to call unless he died, I said. He didn't, so I honored your request, let you enjoy your night. That's not what I meant, she said. It was a bad joke, dark humor. I was trying to lighten it up. You know how I get when things are heavy. I do, I said. I also know how you get when things aren't about you. She flinched. You didn't have to change the locks, she said, or have some stranger hand me papers in the middle of the airport. People were staring. I was crying. It was awful. The way my mother would have cried if her son had died while her daughter-in-law was at a concert, I asked. The way I sat in that waiting room reading your text while they cut into his skull. Sounds like we're almost even. You're not even trying to understand my side, she said. I understand your side perfectly, I said. You needed joy. You needed escape. You needed me to validate that need over my need for a partner in the worst week of my life. I'm just not doing it. She grabbed her duffel, slung it over her shoulder. So that's it, she asked. You're divorcing me just like that, no counseling, no talking, no second chances. We've been talking for years, I said. About my family, about your discomfort, about your needs. I told you clearly what would matter to me in a crisis. You told me clearly where I rank. This isn't a snap decision. This is the invoice for 1,000 little choices. You're punishing me, she said. You're mad and you're lashing out. Wrong word, I said. I'm protecting myself. I'm also protecting my mother from having to sit across holiday tables from the woman who chose Beyoncé over her husband's brain surgery. She swallowed. Everyone's going to think I'm a monster, she whispered. Everyone is going to think whatever they think, I said. I'm not going to write your narrative. You did that yourself in your texts, in your absences. I was there, she protested. I came to the hospital. Twice, I said. Once for 10 minutes, long enough to complain about the smell. Once to tell me how exhausted you were by my dad's surgery that hadn't happened yet. She opened her mouth, then closed it. I love you, she said suddenly. I know I messed up, but that doesn't just disappear. I don't doubt that you love me in your way, I said. I also know you love yourself more. That's not a crime. It's just not compatible with the version of marriage I signed up for. She looked toward my parents' house. What am I supposed to tell people? She asked. My parents, my friends, your family. The truth, I said, or whatever version you can live with. I'm not running PR for you. You're cold, she said. I matched temperature, I said. You sent me a text so cold my therapist winced when she read it. This is the warmed-up version. You talked to your therapist about me, she asked, offended. I talked to my therapist about my marriage, I said. You're part of that. She huffed. Of course you have a therapist, she said. Everyone does now. You told me to get one 2 years ago, I said. Said I needed to unpack my childhood. Turns out my childhood is the most functional relationship I've got. She let out a strangled laugh. You're an ass, she said. Probably, I said, but I'm an ass who knows his limits. We stood there a few feet apart. On the lawn I'd mowed 100 times. You can come get the rest of your stuff when things calm down, I said. We'll set a time with both lawyers. I won't be here. Someone can let you in. That's so cold, she repeated. The opposite, I said. It's kind, to both of us. You won't have to see me pack your life into boxes. I won't have to watch you pretend you're losing something you stopped valuing a long time ago. She shook her head, tears spilling over. You're going to regret this, she said. When the dust settles, when your dad's better or gone, you're going to realize you overreacted. I might regret things, I said, but I won't regret not staying married to someone who sees my family's pain as an interruption to her programming. I can't believe you're throwing everything away over 1 week, she said. 1 week showed me what the next 20 years would look like, I said. I believe it. She didn't have a response to that. Her Uber pulled up. She looked at me one last time, waiting, I think, for me to cave. To say, "Fine, come inside, we'll talk." I didn't. "Goodbye, Chloe," I said. She turned, got in the car, and left. Back inside, I washed my hands, splashed water on my face, and went next door to my parents' house. Mom sat at the kitchen table, a cup of tea in her hands, eyes on nothing. "She left?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Good," she said softly. I blinked. "Good," I repeated. Mom shrugged one shoulder. "I'm old, not blind," she said. "She hasn't wanted to be part of this family for a long time. Better she goes do her concerts than sit here making us feel guilty for being sick." I sat down across from her. "I'm sorry," I said. "You didn't do this," she said. "She made her choices, you're making yours." "Dad asked me to take care of you," I said. She smiled faintly. "He always worried about me," she said. "Like I didn't raise 3 kids mostly by myself when he worked nights. I'll be okay. You go back to him." So I did. Dad spent another week in the hospital, then moved to a rehab facility. I was there most days, after work, on weekends, whenever I could. I helped him with exercises, listened to him curse at the parallel bars, celebrated when he moved a toe, then a leg, then stood for the first time with support. Chloe sent a few more texts in those early weeks, then stopped. First, they were pleading. "Can we just talk? We owe it to our history." I was selfish, I know that, but doesn't the good count for anything? Then defensive. "You're making me out to be some kind of monster. Your mom is poisoning you against me, I can tell." Then angry. "Everyone's acting like I killed him. It was a concert, not a crime." I didn't respond. My therapist called it extinction. You stop feeding a behavior, it stops trying as hard, or it escalates before it dies. She did a bit of both. Our friends found out in waves. Mike came to the rehab center one night with takeout. "How's the old man?" he asked, dropping a bag on the table. "Stubborn," I said. "He hates the food, loves flirting with the nurses, standard." "And how are you?" he asked. I shrugged. "Divorcing," I said. "Again stubborn, this time it's me." He blinked. "Wait, for real," he said. "You and Chloe?" "Yeah," I said. "Papers are filed. She was served at the airport." He whistled. "What happened?" he asked. "She chose Beyonce over Dad's brain surgery," I said simply. "Damn," he said. "Like actually." I showed him the text. His face went through disbelief to anger in 5 seconds. "She really sent this?" he asked. "Verbatim," I said. "Screenshotted and printed in triplicate." He shook his head. "I always thought she had a selfish streak," he said. "Didn't think it went that deep." "I didn't either," I said. "That's on me." The story traveled. In group chats, in quiet conversations, in looks exchanged at the grocery store. I didn't fan it, but I also didn't sanitize it when asked. "How's Chloe?" an acquaintance would say at church. "She and I are separating," I'd say. Things came to a head when my dad was in the hospital. We had different definitions of for better or for worse. Most people got the subtext. Chloe did her own PR. One day, my cousin sent me a screenshot from Instagram. Chloe had posted a selfie, red eyes, captioned, "Sometimes you have to choose yourself, even when people don't understand your journey. I will no longer abandon my needs for someone else's expectations. If that makes me the villain in their story, so be it." Comments were a mix of, "You go girl," from people who didn't know the context, and awkward silence from people who did. I didn't comment. I didn't clap back. I didn't send it to anyone. I just screenshotted it for the folder marked receipts, then went back to helping Dad practice buttoning his shirt with one hand. Dad didn't die during that hospital stay. He worked his way through rehab like it was a job. Months of physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. He never got full use of his right side back, but he learned to stand, to shuffle with a cane, to feed himself with his left hand. He came home in late spring. We set up a ramp, rearranged furniture so he could move easily, installed grab bars in the bathroom. My siblings came when they could, but they both lived hours away. I was there the most. I'd leave work, swing by, help Mom with dinner, get Dad settled. "You're here a lot," he said one night, watching me adjust his pillow. "Where else would I be?" I asked. He looked at me for a long minute. "I heard about Chloe," he said. I sighed. "Yeah," I said, "we're getting divorced." "She left because of me?" he asked. "She left because of her," I said. "You were just the mirror that showed me who she is." He huffed. "I tried to tell you when you got engaged," he said, "but you were in love. What do old men know?" "You told me to run," I reminded him. "Mom hit you for it." He smiled half his old smile. "I told you she likes pretty things," he said, "not broken things." "You're not broken," I said. He patted my arm with his good hand. "Neither are you," he said. "You just finally know your worth." We finalized the divorce that summer. No kids, no joint business, just the house to sell and some accounts to separate. Chloe fought a little at first, asked for more than was reasonable, tried to guilt me in mediation, but the facts were the facts. I wasn't out for blood. I was out for clean lines. In the end, she got a fair settlement. Her share of the equity, some savings, nothing more. She moved into an apartment downtown. I moved into a smaller place a few miles from my parents, close enough to help, far enough to breathe. Dad had another stroke the next year. This one he didn't come back from. We were ready in the way you can be, when you've watched someone fight for every inch and know they're tired. The hospital scene was almost a replay. The rush, the forms, the waiting room. But there was one major difference. No one was texting me about concert tickets. We held his hand. We told stories. We played his favorite songs on my phone, cheap speaker filling the ICU room with old rock and country. He slipped away with all of us there. The funeral was a blur of faces and flowers and people telling me he was a good man, like that was news. Chloe did not come. She sent a text the day before. "I heard about your dad. I'm sorry. I don't think it's appropriate for me to be there, but I wanted you to know I'm thinking of you." I stared at it for a second, then put my phone away. After the service, at the reception in the church hall, people came up in small clusters. "If you ever need anything." "He was so proud of you." "You did right by him, Sam." My Aunt Carol, nosy, blunt Aunt Carol, pulled me into a hug that smelled like white diamonds. "You got rid of that girl just in time," she whispered in my ear. "Can you imagine her at this?" I actually laughed. "Aunt Carol," I said, "Jesus is watching." "He knows I'm right," she said. I spent the next few months in a weird mix of grief and relief. Grief for my father, who'd been my anchor. Relief that I wasn't going home to someone who saw my loss as inconvenient content. I focused on my mom, on getting her used to a house without his footsteps, on teaching her how to reset the Wi-Fi, how to text me if the smoke alarm chirped, how to press the life alert button I insisted she wear. I focused on work, on friends, on sleeping without listening for the garage door. Eventually, I focused a little on myself. I went back to therapy, talked about caretaking, about patterns, about why someone like me ends up with a Chloe and stays longer than he should. "You're a fixer," Dr. Patel said. "At work, that's gold. At home, it can turn into martyrdom." "I don't feel like a martyr," I said. "I feel like an idiot." "Idiots don't sit in front of a therapist and analyze their choices," he said. "Idiots repeat the same mistakes until they die." "Comforting," I said. "Habits are harder to break than most people think," he said. "But you've already broken the big one. You left." He was right. I'd walked away not just from Chloe, but from the version of myself that believed being a good man meant swallowing any amount of disrespect as long as I could explain it with context. Now, when someone shows me who they are, I adjust my distance accordingly. I started dating again slowly. Apps, setups, a few awkward coffees, some nice dinners that went nowhere. One very weird date where a woman asked me within 10 minutes what my credit score was. "That's none of your business," I said. "So it's bad," she replied. "Or I just respect myself," I said. We did not go out again. Eventually, I met someone who didn't flinch when I said, "I'm close to my family," who didn't roll her eyes when I left early from a happy hour to take my mom to the doctor, who didn't treat my father's memory like a competing brand. We're taking it slow. I've learned that I don't need to sprint toward a ring to prove anything. I also know what I'm not willing to entertain. If she ever says, "Call me if she dies, otherwise let me enjoy my night," we're done before the screen goes dark. People ask me sometimes if I miss Chloe. Not her exactly, most of them don't phrase it that bluntly, but the idea of what we had. The early days, the fun. I miss the version of her who showed up to my parents' house with flowers and store-bought pie, who laughed at my dad's jokes, who said, "Your family is loud, but I love them." I don't miss the woman who told me I was neglecting her because I chose a plastic chair by my father's bed over cocktails at some rooftop. I miss the idea of having a partner at my side in crises. I don't miss dragging someone who doesn't want to be there. My dad used to say, "You learn who people are when the chips are down. Anyone can cheer when the game's going well. Watch who stays when it rains." It poured, she grabbed an umbrella and left. So I let her. I changed the locks. I signed the papers. I stood at my father's funeral with no wife at my side, but surrounded by people who actually showed up. And when I come home now, the house is quiet in a way I chose. No concerts, no ultimatums, just my own footsteps, my own keys in the bowl, the occasional buzz of my phone when mom texts me a blurry picture of her garden or my sister sends a video of her kids. My dad is gone. That's a hole that will never close completely. My marriage is gone too. That's a crack that healed into a scar that reminds me, every time I look at it, that my job in life is not to keep everyone comfortable. My job is to show up for the people who would show up for me. My dad lay in a hospital bed. She had Beyonce tickets. She told me to call if he died. I called a locksmith instead.